The United Nations Human Rights Council has strongly condemned the desecration of the Holy Quran. The Human Rights Council passed a resolution on July 12 condemning all attacks and expressions of religious hatred, including recent and offensive attacks on the Quran. The board adopted the resolution titled Combating Religious Discrimination Leading to Hatred, Violence or Violence by 28 votes to 12 with 7 abstentions. The resolution mentions that, in accordance with international human rights law, the accountability of workers is the responsibility of the state. It also calls on states to take urgent steps to be accountable and establish national laws, regulations and administrative frameworks to address, prevent and prosecute religious discrimination and propaganda promoting discrimination, crime or violence. General Secretariat Decision No. Council requested the Minister for Development to present orally the various drivers, principles and human rights implications of religious discrimination that lead to hatred, violence or violence. The Commission also decided, at its 55th session, to establish a panel of experts to identify the causes and principles of the desecration of book sanctuaries, places of worship and religious symbols as manifestations of religious discrimination and human rights violations. It can cause hatred, violence or violence. 28 to 12. Documents and reports on the 53rd meeting of the Human Rights Council can be found here. Voting results are as follows. Confirmed: 28 Algeria, Argentina, Bangladesh, Bolivia, Cameroon, China, Ivory Coast, Cuba, Eritrea, Gabon, Gambia, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Malawi, Malaysia, Maldives, Morocco, Pakistan, Qatar, Senegal, Somalia, South Africa, Sudan, Ukraine, United Arab Emirates, Uzbekistan and Vietnam. 12 Belgium, Costa Rica, Czech Republic, Finland, France, Germany, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Montenegro, Romania, United Kingdom and United States. Abstains: 7 Benin, Chile, Georgia, Honduras, Mexico, Nepal and Paraguay. On Wednesday, the United Nations Human Rights Council approved a resolution on religious discrimination after Sweden burned the Quran, angering Westerners who said it was against long-term protection of rights. Pakistan's resolution on behalf of the 57-nation Organization of Islamic Cooperation (OIC) called on the UN Human Rights Chief to publish a report on hate speech and religious discrimination, and asked countries to follow their laws and close any loopholes. Protect those who defend against religious discrimination. And the prosecution and suppression of religious discrimination. The US and EU opposed, on the grounds that it was incompatible with their views on human rights and freedom of expression. While they condemned the burning of the Quran, they argued that the work of the OIC was aimed at protecting religious symbols rather than human beings' rights. An Iraqi immigrant to Sweden last month burned a copy of the Quran in front of a mosque in Stockholm, sparking anger in the Muslim world and urging Muslims to take action. While the outcome of this vote is a major defeat for the West, the OIC has unprecedented influence in the Council, the only body created by the government to protect human rights worldwide. 28 countries agreed, 12 voted against, and 7 did not. After the decision was adopted, representatives of some countries applauded. Marc Limon, director of the Geneva-based Universal Rights Group, said the result showed all the opposition of the Western Human Rights Council. They lost the support and they lost the debate, said Michelle Taylor, United States Ambassador to the United States. The Human Rights Council said U.S. concerns about the initiative were not taken seriously. I believe that we can find a way to move forward by solving this problem together with time and with more open dialogue, he said. After the vote, Khalil Hazmi, Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, accused Western countries of spoken loyalty to their promises to prevent hatred of different faiths. The opposition of some in the room stemmed from their unwillingness to publicly condemn the desecration of the Quran or other religious books, he said. The least they want from the Security Council, they lack the political, legal, and moral courage to condemn this policy. The decision on combating racism that leads to hatred, violence has been postponed to 10 o'clock on Wednesday, July 12 due to time limit. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk said in his opening speech that people communicate with symbols as well as words. Religious symbols run deep. For millions of people, these religious symbols have great meaning and are the core of human identity and core beliefs. Exposure to abuse or internalized beliefs can make people feel anxious and depressed. The controversy was fueled by the recent burning of the Quran, which is at the center of the faith of more than 1,000 people. These events and similar events are designed to show disrespect and arouse anger, to separate people from each other. It leads to differences of opinion, hatred, and sometimes violence. The Prime Minister said that he is well aware of the rhetoric and attacks against Muslims, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism. Talking is a sign of complete disrespect. Disrespectful, and wrong. The advocacy of hatred that leads to violence, hatred and violence should be banned in all countries. Another form of teaching would be to seek hate speech if they use negative or offensive language about a person or group for their own, or personally existent gender, religion, race, immigration, sexual orientation, or other reasons. Lowering their dignity and looking at their worth in the eyes of others. Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion and Religious Freedom, Najira Garnia, in her opening speech on behalf of the Special Procedures Committee, said that religion or followers of religion should not be used to incite hatred and violence, including for electoral or political purposes. Income. Crimes of impunity are increasing worldwide and are more common in times of political crisis such as elections. They are insulting. Recent attacks of indifference and deliberate acts of hatred such as the public burning of the Quran or the desecration of places of worship are unacceptable, and the capital nature causes social degradation, reversing good education and investment in understanding and respect. There are many people. They emphasized patience, leadership, and respect for others. Moss. Ghana said restrictions on freedom of expression must meet 3 criteria set out in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights: must be legal, strictly reasonable, and balanced to achieve a legitimate goal under international human rights law. All states must do their part to prevent, investigate, and punish violence against minorities and to detect signs of intolerance that can lead to discrimination on the basis of religion or belief or trust. The discourse of intolerance must be opposed so as not to encourage further intolerance or even violence. In the discussion that followed, many speakers stressed the need to reaffirm the importance of tolerance and dialogue and reject discrimination. The burning of the Quran is unjust as it incites hatred and anger, goes against international efforts, and damages the respect of people and nations. Despite the law, there are actual and deliberate acts of defamation that lead to religious hatred. Promoting a culture of intercultural peace, harmony, tolerance, and harmony is a start, but the fight against religious discrimination and persuasion is the responsibility the country must address. The outcome of the anti-Muslim movement around the world is a source of great concern for many speakers, who say it undermines respect, tolerance, and mutual understanding. The international community must stand firm against this crisis. A speaker pointed out that human rights, not religion or religion, protect people. The United Nations cannot decide what is sacred and what is not, but it is up to the people to decide their beliefs and abide by them within the law, what should be done in a tolerant society. The exercise of freedom of expression requires self-discipline, not war, hatred, or diversity. Any form of censorship must be carefully monitored. Freedom of expression is not an international right, but it still needs protection. Limitation of rights according to international conventions should be carefully evaluated. When tackling religious intolerance, everyone should remember that this struggle should not restrict other rights. Documents and reports on the 53rd session of the Human Rights Council are available at